Dave, there are very few gymnastics clubs who are able to produce multiple Olympic medalists and Olympians. Can you tell us about the structure of the men's programme at Leeds and how that's developed over time since you've moved to the new facility?
Oh wow, big question. Well, there's a lot, it's kind of a lot in that really, so I'll try and explain it the best I can, but feel free to jump in. So previously we were linked to the university, so the programme was quite small, but more based around performance gymnastics.
Okay.
So quite a strong men's programme, good coaching team, but not a full-time facility club. It was a university facility. So the programme was very small in terms of the number of gymnasts and elite focused. So then when we moved to here in 2012 and became a club to run itself, a community interest company, obviously we had to bring a lot more membership in and do more than just performance gymnastics. So a huge change for us, but the benefit to that as a change in terms of the programme you're talking about, and I guess that's perhaps helped the success that we've had, is that we've got a lot more members. We can employ a lot more coaches, we can make it a professional job because we've got that kind of revenue stream, that membership base that helps us to do that. We can use the facility a lot more, which kind of helps your high performance gymnastics. They've got more access to it. We can try and keep up with equipment trends and that kind of thing. So it's kind of now we've got a base where we identify our own gymnasts that show potential to do more performance-based gymnastics. We then have programs where they come in twice a week. We try and develop them and see where they're going to go from there, and then we have enough coaches that we can employ, high-level coaches that then we can put the children with, you know, give them the hours, the training they need, the support they need, and it gives us an opportunity to create quite a competitive program and a big program. And I think the more gymnasts you have, I think that's what strength of what we do now is that we have quite a large volume of gymnasts, which I guess, I don't know, you probably have experience of visiting quite a lot of clubs. There's not many clubs with a lot of boys doing gymnastics, but one, because we had that history before as a strong men's club, and because we can provide that expertise in terms of coaching and facility and that kind of thing, we can have quite a large number of boys, which, you know, the bigger base we have, then the more chance we have of finding your Harrys, your Lukes, etc.
Amazing, mate. Yeah, that's one thing I said to the guys today. I was like, I think there's maybe 4 clubs in the country that can produce this amount of high-level men that are training together at once. Like, you're doing something right if you've got a squad of 10 plus male gymnasts that are seniors. Like, it's pretty impressive. Brilliant, mate. How difficult is it to balance personal aspirations with what's best for the club and the athletes when you have a strong high-performance programme in terms of when you've got a strong group of coaches?
Do you mean like the challenges in kind of running a full-time club?
When I come into the gym and I'm seeing so many really good high-level coaches all working together, one thing I didn't know before I came today, and Jaron told me, was that well, Dave works with Harry and Andy works with Luke and Tom's a support coach. And I was like, wow, they're working really well together.
Yeah.
What have the challenges been, and how have you got everybody working together in like a cohesive team? Because that's what it seems like to me. Like, everybody's pitching in everywhere, which is brilliant.
Yeah, I think obviously you try and set a culture, and it's kind of what we do, and it's based on our values. So it's kind of everybody giving everything and everybody supporting each other. The focus is on the gymnasts and the gymnastics and developing. So I think we also have quite a strong number of gymnasts and quite a lot of gymnasts, because it has very much been a philosophy that's run through the club, even when we were previously kind of eager to kind of, if you're coaching, as much as we'd expect the gymnasts to give their all, you know, you give your all and give your best to help develop each and every gymnast, you know, whatever level they're at, you know, however many there are, you know, you just do your absolute best for every single one of them. And I think then when you get other coaches and team members, Jaron, Tom, Andy, everyone around that kind of share those values and can support you with that thing, it's a huge positive. Of course, it brings challenges, because then there's more of you, and you know, everybody's still an individual, and you have to try and find a balance and make it work as best you can to make sure that the gymnasts are getting exactly what they need, and it's not lost within that number of people. But the positive is that they get support from lots of great people. And I think, again, we've kind of had a tradition going back to Carnegie where we've had a few good, strong men's coaches. So I guess that's always been embedded in the club. And since we moved, I guess my challenge was to keep that history going, keep that kind of culture and that expectation and that kind of value we have. And I've been fortunate enough to employ people, or people wanting to come and be part of the programme. I guess the success and what we do and the values we have has attracted people. And I kind of see it as a positive, especially now. I think if you can collaborate and work with more people, the better, because then you're challenging yourself all the time as well. The gymnasts are getting different challenges. It's just making sure that it's, of course, not too much. Because obviously there's times where it's nice to have one voice, I guess as a gymnast you might know, and just be clear and not. But I think when you work with each other so much, you get used to how to do that and kind of have that relationship.
Yeah, I think you do a brilliant job of that, mate, and the fact that you've got a big, massive group of high-level men's gymnasts, you must all communicate very well and almost be working towards the same hymn sheet, which I think a lot of clubs would look and go, how do they do that? Because everyone's got like a bit of an ego, right? And they've got their own aspirations, and you know, there's I think typically in gymnastics clubs there's kind of two ways, right? Either you pass on and the person stays where they are, or everybody moves around at the same time. And I don't think there is a right or a wrong way, but clubs maybe that are at a position where they're not where you are now but want to be there, probably are not sure how to navigate that. So
and how
hearing from that,
to keep coaches motivated and how to have that kind of system. Yeah, it's a great question. It is difficult and there are challenges to it. I guess firstly it comes from, you know, my experience is that I was kind of given that opportunity and allowed to kind of grow through the club, even though we had other fantastic, brilliant coaches that were more experienced than me and working at a higher level than me. But they always gave me an opportunity to develop myself and stick with the gymnasts as long as I was doing the best for the gymnasts. So, you know, I was giving my absolute all, and I was coaching hopefully in the right way. And I was doing a good job and wanting to learn and wanting to be part of the team and understanding that dynamic. So I think I hold that value, and hopefully it's what you're seeing and it shines through a little bit, that I would always hope that I can try and help then develop other coaches and give them that opportunity experiences and try to do it within the same club rather than having to lose them for them to seek that opportunity somewhere else, because I wouldn't be here if that pathway hadn't worked for me, if I hadn't have had that opportunity. So I think it firstly comes from kind of that desire, recognising that you want to do that. So for me, it's great, it's a challenge, but if I end up with 4 or 5 coaches all coaching Olympic level gymnasts, that's fantastic and great for the club. Now the other challenge to it is obviously, it's then how you balance how the rest of the club runs. You know, if everybody wants to work with a certain level of gymnast, there's all the other things in the club that you need to provide for and all the other gymnasts that you need to coach. So that'll provide a challenge, but I think if you really have that desire and you have the right people and you want to keep them and you want a strong team, you just got to keep finding solutions to make sure that everybody's contributing to other areas of the club, that, you know, the recreational gymnasts feel really valued and that you have a great recreational team, because without that you're going to struggle to do the performance side and support the aspirations of your coaches. So you've got to try and make sure that's fantastic and support in whatever ways you can. And I think in general, if you get great people, they'll be happy to understand that if they're going to get opportunities to develop and follow the pathway they want to help with the club and to allow that to happen. But it is challenging, but then if they're getting opportunities to develop and they can see that it's possible, and they know that that's your intention and you're trying to do, then I think it can be done. Well, I hope it's being done.
Well, there's evidence that that's happening, mate. The last 2 questions, Dave, I'm going to ask you about Harry and Luke. So what qualities set Harry apart from the other athletes his age in the sport of gymnastics that you feel have helped him to become the first British man in history to win an Olympic vault medal?
Oh, yeah, good question. Well, a couple of things. I mean, we've been touching on the programme and the structure and how we've brought kids through, etc. And Harry's quite a good example in, one, having a strong team and having other voices and other people, because he probably wasn't the sort of kid you would have instantly seen. He was quite a late starter. I don't know if he's explained his story, but he has a hip condition from birth, which means he doesn't have mobility in his hip joint, which means that when you look at him as a 9-year-old late starting gymnast, he can't do splits and all those kind of things, physical things like flexibility that traditionally you probably looked at and said, that person's suited to gymnastics. But then other people were saying, look at this kid, you need to see this kid, there's something there, you know, he's got potential to maybe go further, to be challenged in our programme, you need to, you know, try and offer him more. But I might not have seen that without having a great team around. So when you're thinking about that and building a team, I think Harry's story is a little bit linked to that, because his start was not your traditional, you can see it straight away, there's gymnastics suited to gymnastics, etc. However, the attributes he did have, he was very strong, very determined. You know, he had a kind of emotional and a determination about him that he wanted to compete, and he was, you know, he wanted to challenge himself. And physically he was strong, which are all great attributes for gymnastics. So the flexibility and things aside, that's kind of what kind of got him his start and maybe got him noticed a little bit. And I think he's took that through, really. And I think specific maybe to vault is that kind of maybe determination and that kind of physical power and that, I guess, bravery to kind of want to vault's one of them things where there's not, it's kind of one skill, right? So it's one vault. So if you're thinking, I need to get my level, you've kind of got to push to one skill, whereas maybe on other apparatus you could do a few high-level skills and then supplement them with slightly lower-level skills. Vault's like all in. Yeah, if you want to be a top vaulter, it's all in. You've got to commit to doing big vault. And I think Harry's kind of personality and the way that he approaches things is suited to that. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm doing it.
Amazing, mate. That's brilliant. Last one then, similar question, but about Luke. How impressed were you with Luke's achievement this summer, and just how difficult is it to take your opportunity when it presents itself like he did at the European Championships?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, very impressed, because I guess in the build-up to that period, if we're being, you know, really honest and realistic, you know, we didn't then expect selection for the Olympics, given the fact that he wasn't in the European team. Then the opportunity came, and it's like, but now you know that this is the last kind of shot. It's an opportunity, but still it would be fair to say that even if it goes well, you know, still the Olympic Games is probably a bit of a long shot. So he probably had to do exactly what he did in order to make the team. And I don't know, with his conversation with you, but he certainly was aware of it. I don't know how much he was thinking about it a little bit, because it was quite clear, and I was definitely aware of it. So, yeah, hugely impressed. Yeah, because effectively, as I'm saying, we were aware of it. He couldn't have done anything else. To make that Olympic team, he probably had to go and win the Europeans floor again, to give himself a shot of really pushing to be included in the selection as a potential medal winner, floor finalist. So I think he drew on the experience from the previous Europeans. That helped a lot with his confidence and his experience of the competition. And then maybe a little bit of, well, I've got nothing to lose. You know, I wasn't expected to be here. I've come in a bit last minute. I've come straight from another competition, so I'm just going to go for it.
Andy, gymnasts from this region always seem to be very hard-working. In fact, Yorkshire regularly take home a lion's share of Team GB medals success at the Olympic Games. What cultural values and principles would you hope an outsider might notice when visiting the club for the first time?
Hard work.
Yeah.
It's instilled in everyone, coaches, gymnasts, other members of staff, like your receptionists, business managers, everybody. It's just hard work.
Just that work ethic.
If there's one bit of advice I can give anybody to be successful, is work hard.
Brilliant.
You just got to work hard. There's no substituting. In gymnastics, you can't cut corners. Our society's changed a little bit now. There's a lot of instant gratification around. Just got to work hard, play a long game.
Brilliant, mate. How impressed were you with Luke's achievement this summer, and just how difficult is it to take your opportunity when it presents itself like he did at the European Championships?
Sorry, how impressed was I?
Yeah, you know, it's not easy, right, for a young kid in that moment. Even, you know, you're getting called up last minute to a European Championships, and you know, right, if I do well here, maybe there's an opportunity to then go and actually take that opportunity. That's not an easy thing to do, right?
There's quite a story.
Okay.
Luke was a very unconfident young boy when I met him, and long story short, to see him at the Olympic Games and put his arm up just before he does a triple back on floor, confident, chest out, truly amazing, absolutely amazing. How impressed was I? Extremely impressed. A little bit about the journey in between. Obviously European champion 2023 on floor, absolutely fantastic. We knew we could do it. I'm sure there's some people that could doubt it. In 2024 he's not selected for the European team. Goes really well in Doha, there's an injury. Max gets injured, Luke gets a call, flies from Doha to Rimini, retains his title. Absolutely, truly incredible. It makes me feel a bit funny talking about it now, to be honest. But again, it's a credit to his hard work and his dedication and the never-giving attitude that he has.
Yeah, an incredible achievement, mate. How did it feel watching Luke perform in the Olympic floor final, knowing all the work that has gone into creating a piece of work like that and the role that you played in it? Because I imagine for a coach it must be a pretty incredible feeling. What was that like for you, that experience?
Yeah, it's initially very exciting and routine going very, very well, and a small mistake that probably the general public wouldn't understand. And the judges applied the rule correctly, which meant he finished in 6th place, but without that little mistake that's probably not that noticeable, it could have quite easily been Olympic gold. So initially, for me, I felt a lot of excitement, a little bit nervy, that I don't always feel, and then a little bit of doubt, and then I was super proud of the guy. Don't get me wrong, so disappointment is completely the wrong word. Like, I was super proud in the end, because not everyone gets to go to the Olympics, as you know, and perform on that stage, and it does take a special someone to do that. So yeah, super excited and super proud, I'd say.
Amazing, mate. I'm going to ask you one more, okay? I'm going to ask you what I asked Luke. Harry displays incredible maturity when competing under pressure on the world stage.
Yeah.
Have you always seen that ability in him from a young age, or is that something that you've watched him develop over time?
Harry?
Yeah.
Harry's always been a competitor, is what I've seen from a young age. And whether that be in the gym when we set up little competitions, or when he competed as a young kid, and especially how he competes now, nothing seems to faze him. His focus seems unreal, and he seems to thrive off the pressure. Seems to give him that extra little bit of something. I don't know what it is, and I think that's innate in Harry as a person. He's very individual. He's very strong-minded. He's a great guy. So yeah, I think that's, I expect it from Harry now. It's expected that he performs like that. So.
Jaron, there are very few gymnastics clubs who are able to produce multiple Olympic medalists and Olympians. Can you tell us about the structure of the men's programme at Leeds and how that's developed over time since moving to the new gymnastics club?
Yeah, so there's been a long-standing history of successful men's gymnastics at Leeds, and it started back, if I'm correct, at Carnegie at the university. So they were producing very high-level men's gymnasts in particular, and we had Dominic Brindle that went to the Olympics, and they had lots and lots of gymnasts. And then in 2012, they moved from the university over here and became a community interest club. So I think that performance side of things had been built already at Carnegie. And then what was slightly different about this was actually the recreational program that then came to like support and underpin the performance programs, and that was probably the difference between those two. So that the tradition and the culture, I think, which is really important, has been there for a long time, and a lot of those coaches like Chris Lowe and Dave Murray had come over with the gym, with the gymnasts. So right from the offset, you had gymnasts like Niall Wilson, you had Ashley Watson, you had Matt Firth, you had those gymnasts and that performance culture that was here, and then year on year, I think you know, it's bred more performance with the younger gymnasts.
Amazing, mate. Okay, next one. The last time I was in this gym was 2019. Harry and Luke were teenagers back then, which is a little bit older than some of the gymnasts that you're coaching now at Leeds Gymnastics Club. What did you see in those two gymnasts back then, when they were teenagers, 4 or 5 years ago, that you still see in them today?
I think it's you know, a drive. I guess from my perspective, they're slightly different. I think Harry's a little bit more. What's the word that I'm looking for? Harry's a bit more. Trying to think.
Probably that drive. I think we asked Luke a similar question, so we asked Luke. I can tell you actually. I can ask you the same questions. Harry displays incredible maturity when competing under pressure on the world stage. Have you always seen that ability in him from a young age, or is that something that he's developed over time?
From what I've seen, he has always had that ability to switch it on when he wanted to switch it on, which is something I think is very unique. Yeah, he's had that ability. I think in the gym he can, you know, maybe have 1 or 2 goes at like 50% and get a bit frustrated, and then instantly, you know, he switches his mindset and he has, you know, does the most ridiculous, insane gymnastics. And I think, you know, that's what's helped him be able to perform on those greatest stages. And I think he's had that right from the start. I'm
going to ask you the same question I asked then Harry about Luke, mate, last one. What qualities do you see in Luke every day when no one else is watching that you believe gave him the edge in securing his place on the Olympic team?
I think consistency. You know, being in the gym 6 times a week, grafting, not necessarily always the one to be getting people's attention all the time, but putting in the work consistently was probably Luke's superpower.